Good morning everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Each weekend I try and do a little bit of a chat, update, sort of a garden, animals, all that sort of thing video where I come on and I mention anything that I haven't had a chance to mention in other videos and give you a look at how we're going, progress in things I've been talking about and stuff like that. So that is the plan for today's video. It is Saturday morning. It's nice and sunny. It was really overcast and horrible yesterday, and we had issues with the solar not getting to 100% and things like that. Today is starting off lovely and warm and sunny. We got some of the garden paths and stuff done and the compost brought in and things like that yesterday. So I'll turn you around and turn this way and I'll show you that. So we're finally getting all the wood chips in and the garden beds topped up. Now this one here is a really wide path. This is our sort of throughway for a lot of things. So because it goes on to the corner here that leads to the gate and stuff. So this one is a exceptionally wide path so that we can bring the wheelbarrow and stuff through here easily when need be, all the way through to the end where the berry bushes and everything are going to be. But we're getting the bark down, the beds topped up with compost. I've got sugarcane to put to mulch these beds, and then what we need to do is move over to this side, get the wood chips down, top up these beds and get fresh sugarcane on them, and then I can start planting out things like my zucchinis and my cucumbers and things like that that are starting to outgrow their pots. The tomatoes will still be a while off, but the zucchinis need to go out, cucumbers, any other brassicas that I've got left, as well as some turnips and beets and things like that. We did get down to 4 degrees overnight, so we're still having some weather that's not real great for a lot of things. A lot of my seedlings, even in the hothouse, on heat mats, still aren't progressing as quickly as I would like. But each year I struggle with this a little bit. It gets to September and I expect things to take off because it's spring, you know, it's September and it's spring and everyone else's gardens are doing really well. But because we live in sort of an arid kind of a climate, even though the days get up to mid-20s, high 20s through September, October, November, I was looking at my weather charts because we have a weather station up on the roof. So I have been logging weather for the 3.5 years or so. And I look at my weather charts and the nights still got down to like 4 degrees in November last year. So it makes it kind of difficult, but I know that our garden takes off eventually, but it's obviously later than I expect each year. So hopefully by documenting properly this way, by recording all this for you guys on video, I will actually be able to look back next year and be a little bit more solid on when things are supposed to happen rather than really thinking they should. And last year I started my seedlings in August thinking that, you know, get them 4 weeks before spring, and that was a bit of a fail. This year I didn't start them till September because I thought, you know, I'm giving it that bit extra, but it still doesn't seem to have given me much extra. So maybe I shouldn't rush myself even next year. And other than the things that need to be in pots for a long time, like, you know, onions and things like that, maybe I should not start my tomatoes or my zucchinis or anything like that until October, because they just seem to progress really slowly anyway because the nights are too cold. So anyway, that was a bit of a ramble there. I did want to show you, I let some onions in this row that didn't bulb up properly go over the winter because I wanted to see if I could have some flower and then harvest the seeds. And some are flowering now, and I've never had an onion flower, and I've seen allium flowers online and they're really pretty, so I'm hoping to get some good ones out of this and then maybe be able to save seeds. So I wanted to show you. Let me see if I can bring it into focus. How pretty is that? So they first start up, they bulb up into these little little points like this. Focusing properly on there we go, and then they start opening and then opening more, and then this will flare into a nice big flower, which I'm really looking forward to. Also, the other thing that I discovered the other day, so these are Egyptian walking onions, And so I started with one little clump of them, and they are called walking onions because they spread. So they go higher, and then they flower. Oh, gone out of focus. They flower, and then the flowers drop to the ground, and those flowers turn into new plants. And it hasn't been doing real well because this is a very neglected little corner of the garden. But when I was checking it the other day, we have plenty of them. So you can harvest as many as you want, leave some behind to flower and progress. The onions are quite small and fiddly, but it's good when you just need a little bit of onion. But I'd imagine that I can use the tops as sort of like spring onions as well. So I'm going to cultivate this little corner and try and get it nice and full so that I've got them to access throughout the year. We got the shade cloth put down over here to separate this section until we can get the netting up out here, but it's proving to be a bit of an issue because normally this lavender plant here, which is gorgeous, is covered in bees, and there is still plenty of access for bees via the insect netting over here. It's large enough for bees to get through, but it looks like they just don't. So now that we've got the shade cloth here, we're not getting any bees at all, and I want to have bees in here because they're going to pollinate my zucchini and that. Last year I hand pollinated all my zucchini, and it's really time consuming and you miss a lot. And so I really want to have bees to do it this year, but if the bees aren't coming in, then that's an issue. Now, we did have a Stingless Beehive, though they are more inclined to pollinate fruit trees. But we opened it up the other month because we hadn't seen any activity when the weather warmed up, and it looks like it died over the winter. If I do it again, I'm going to have to insulate it over the winter, I'm guessing, because the nights just get too cold for them to tolerate. So that's just the way it's going to be. But it means that we have no stingless bees in here anymore either. So we were getting some native bees and some standard looking bees all over this lavender. Every day I'd come out and they were here, and now they're not here at all since we put that shade cloth up. So that is unfortunate. We will have to try and remedy that. Whether when we open it up and put the netting up, whether that's enough for it to work, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they don't like the netting either. But the point is that we can't keep the other critters out without some sort of netting. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a problem, isn't it? Like trying to cater to the bees, keep the bees happy, also allow them access, but not allow access to some of the animals that are going to consume the garden. We do that whole, you plant more than you need in the hopes that what does survive is enough. And that's definitely what we do. But we do have limited space and time and resources too. So to a degree, you can only plant more than you need, yes, but not huge amounts. I don't know. So as I say every time, gardening is still a work in progress for us. We are still working on it. We are still figuring out what works. We are still figuring out how much we need and everything else. And the only thing we've really successfully done is tomatoes so far, like enough tomatoes for a year. So now the potato beds, I'll turn you around and give you a look at this. Potato beds are coming in really well. We're going to have to top these up with straw soon. All those plants are pushing through. That bed is doing really well. It was one particular variety of potato, and you know what? I have no idea. I can't remember. This was the other variety of potato, and there is some plants popping up, so I've got good hopes for that. But we did do the other bed. Oh, excuse me to walk through shade cloths. This other bed here, some of it is store-bought potatoes and some of it was seed potato, which was a bit of an experiment, so we'll see what happens here as well. But as I said, the nights are still getting to 5 degrees, so it's possible that it's just not warm enough for them to progress as well as they could. The strawberry tower is still doing well. We've got look, let me see if I can get strawberries ripening up nicely with no marks on them here, and each of the plants survived the transplant, so that's great. The actual bed itself is doing well too. We still have a lot of strawberries that get gnawed on, we are working on that. But the amount of fruit is significant. They're doing really well this year. Definitely got large amounts of fruit on these, so pretty happy with that. The raspberries are definitely taking off as well, so we've got a lot of new growth on the raspberries, which is really nice. We'll see how that goes. This will be the first year that we have any significant growth, so we will just see how it goes. And the hothouse is still very full. So as you can see, things like my tomatoes are still very, very small. Just not getting much progression on them. The loofahs have taken off a little bit. We've got zinnias, but some of them are getting eaten. More tomatoes. So some of the tomatoes are coming up with some sets of leaves, but not very many of them. But the zucchinis need to go out, and we're still, like, we've got more zucchinis there that need to go out, and we're still seeding certain things up. We've got, you know, like peppers are still being potted up, and some flowers still being potted up. But a lot of the tomatoes, like there's a couple that are doing well, but they're all still quite small. More zucchini that needs to be potted up. Some pigeon peas, which I'll probably put into bigger pots before taking out. I think I'm going to plant these near the duck pen. And then we've got like some nasturtiums that have come up, and they're my rosellas, which I'll wait till they're a bit bigger before they go out in the garden. Heaps of tomatoes. I don't know, this has popped up in one of my tomato punnets, so obviously I had a spare seed stuck in the soil that I was using. I've got snapdragons coming up in the back there, little tiny ones, so we've got to wait for those. More nasturtiums, some onions coming up here as well. So it's all progressing, but just very slowly. I managed to get some echinacea to germinate, which is really nice, and some strawberry spinach stick, some dill, so lots of calendula getting there. But yeah, everything just seems to be taking a really long time. The apple trees are starting to leaf up, which is really nice to see. The ends are starting to actually leaf up. The crab apple is going great guns. It leafed up really early. So out here where all these weeds are, the plan is to lay some wood chips out here as well, and then I was going to plant my watermelon plants in between the trees to create a ground cover. So that's still the plan. Now the watermelon seedlings are pretty much ready to go out, but it's nice to see these plants leafing up. The peach trees didn't drop, this one didn't drop its leaves, and that one did, but it's come back really well. So that's really good. The fruit trees, I'm pretty happy with those for the moment. So we're still fixing up this space though, to try and make it a better space for them to grow in and make them easier to access. All right, so I've got baby chickens to share with you. I'll take you there in a second. So that is fun. We had 10 hatch, I think. It was a pretty low hatch rate out of this clutch. I'm not real sure why. We did collect the eggs from a variety of different places though, so it's possibly it was just that. A friend got me some purebred chicken eggs cheap, so I've got another 36 eggs in incubators at the moment as well that we're going to hatch, so that will be fun. I might be able to get my time lapse set up by the time those ones hatch. These ones the ones that we just hatched started hatching a little earlier than expected, and we had to do it in a bit of a rush. So we built a brooder box and that all in a bit of a rush, and they and we weren't quite as prepared as I would have liked to have been, so I couldn't get the time lapse and stuff done, but hopefully I will for the next one, so we will see about that. So I'll take you in to show you them. Other than that, I wanted to show you so I'm growing dahlias for the first time this year, and I wasn't real sure about the tubers. It was something new for me, but they're doing really well, so let me turn you around and show you. Doing so well. So I was doing some reading about pinching out the middle of them, so I've pinched out the middle of a couple of them, and I might leave some as is just to see what the difference is and how it goes. But nearly every pot has had something grow up. It looks like this one is the only one that hasn't, so it's possible I damaged that tuber beyond use, but because I did have to cut a couple of them and it's not something I'm experienced in. Also, my rhubarb has come up, so I bought 2 rhubarb crowns this year to plant as perennials, so that's really cool. That one has come up. These are still all my currants and berries that badly need to be repotted, and the other rhubarb has come up as well. So some of these they're okay, but they're not doing great. They need to be potted up. My currants are looking really good though, so we're getting there. But the dahlias look fantastic, so I'm really excited for those. Quick couple of other things that I'll note, and then I'll finish off with baby chickens. That the seeds, so I've got everyone's emails, excuse me, I've got everyone's emails and Facebook messages, Instagram messages, and that. I'm still collating them all, and I will get the seeds out sometime this week. It's in progress, so don't worry, I'm still doing that. And if I haven't responded to you, know that I have got everything. I'm just collating it all, and I will let you know. What was something else? I haven't mentioned that with the Thermomix, if you're already a Thermomix owner and you want to buy anything from the Thermomix shop, it asks you to put a consultant in, and if you put my name in as your consultant, then I earn a commission from it. So for anyone who wants to do that. Amazon store, I got approved for an Amazon store, so I'm still setting that up. The Amazon store is American, so it's only for American viewers. If they buy through the Amazon store, then I receive a commission. The links that I post for most things are for the Australian Amazon. I also earn a commission through there, but they're 2 different sources. So it's something I'll work on. So people have just been asking me about how they can support in ways that they are already doing things, and that's the best way, honestly. If you're already buying something from Amazon and you happen to use my link, then that is great, but don't go out of your way to do it. I also bought myself a new mincer, which was supposed to arrive Friday and didn't, so it'll probably be Monday, and it is Louvel brand, and I signed up as an affiliate with them too, so I'm going to show that off, and if there's anything you want to buy through them, you can use my link and that sort of thing as well. So all I've been doing is anything that I use and I want to and things like that, if they have an affiliate program, I've signed up to it. So the hope is that I will get my website going and I can have the links to all of these things on there, so you can go and have a glance before you're buying something and see if there's something there that you can click a link on, and then when you're buying it already, it just gives me a little bit of a kickback. So it is very much appreciated, all the people who have been asking, and I don't expect it, but it is great, and thank you very much for anyone who does use those links. Okay, what else did I need to cover? There's been a little bit of negativity in some of the comments lately. We've tried to get on top of it. Don't feed the trolls, really. If someone says something, then just report it or let me know and I'll get rid of it. I have a very thick skin and I don't really care. People have their opinions and that's fine. I try and cover things when I'm filming. If it's something that I get asked a lot about, then I try and just cover it while I'm doing it. A bit like they've had a few comments. One of the last videos I said I weigh my dough balls, and a few people have commented over time that it's weird, but I do it for a reason, and I just cover it when I'm doing the voiceover because that saves the same people, new people who might also think it's odd from commenting. So I'm just covering bases and it's fine. I'm putting myself out there and I expect to get a bit of negativity in return. But if there is something that you see and you and it's inappropriate, just tag me or send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, whatever, and I'll go in and I'll get rid of it because it's easier. We don't, by interacting with them, they're getting what they need and they're going to keep on going. So yes, Darryl always says that this is why I'm the one doing YouTube, because I can walk away, and I literally can from just about anything. I can just go, whoop, delete and walk away, whereas he would have to engage and it would escalate and things like that. So I prefer to just get rid of it and continue on with the people who actually want to be there. So anyway, enough negativity. The other thing, I'm going to walk inside. I am going to say Emma, but if I've got that wrong, I'm really sorry, asked me about my SodaStream. So we have a SodaStream machine and we have a bulk gas canister on it because the little gas canisters are only 400 grams and they're like $19 to do a swap. It's inconvenient to have them. We used to have like 4 in rotation because we don't go anywhere often enough. So what we did was we bought the adapter, and I'll try and put a link in the bottom too, an adapter, and then a 6.5 kilo gas CO2 gas can that can be refilled. So it cost us about, the last refill we got cost us about $70 for the 6.5 kilos. And it was in Toowoomba that we got it refilled. And when I bought it full, I believe, I looked back and I bought it at the end of December. And I believe that we refilled it in like July. So it lasted us over 6 months. And now Darryl would fill a gas, like have a SodaStream, a 1 litre SodaStream bottle at least twice a day, every day. He doesn't drink it all. Obviously, he shares it with me as well, but he does make it. It probably gases a 1 litre bottle at least twice a day, if not more, especially in summer. I am a water drinker, but he prefers flavoured water, and that's fine. So that's what we make our cordials for. So I'm going to take you in and give you a look at the machine and the adapter and the gas can for Emma, but also a couple of other people have asked over time as well. I also had a request about how I do my cold brew coffee, so I will make a new batch up and go from start to finish on a video with that. We do a very simple method, but I will do that as well. If you have any other requests, feel free to put them in the comments or send me a message and ask. I'm happy to try and cater for that as well. I've had a few requests about daily routines and homeschooling and stuff. It's a little bit harder to document, but I will try and get some information about that going as well. But yes, so I'm going to go inside. I'm going to film the what are we talking? SodaStream, and then I will take you in to see the chickens. All right, so you'll have to excuse the mess here. This part of the bench ends up becoming a bit of a dumping ground because we don't use it for anything but the SodaStream, because underneath this piece here, there used to be a sink, so it covers up the gap where the sink was. So this little corner here becomes a bit useless. We got our fermenting bottles here, but they haven't been used all winter because it's too cold. So they've just been sitting here gathering dust, waiting for me to clean them for summer. But this is the canister, so it's quite large scale there with those bottles. It could be put under a bench or something if you had the facility to do so, but we don't really have it. And it has a adapter that attaches to it there, and then that adapter goes down into the back of the SodaStream like that. So then that SodaStream machine, when you push the button, just uses the gas straight from the canister. So when you push the button down, she can't, like, it's taking gas straight from there. Now, we just have the cheapest SodaStream maker that I could buy, but it would work with a variety of them. And some of them have bottoms that you can take off, and you can put the back on with the adapter in there and things like that. You can get longer ones of these adapters as well. It does have a little bit of a pressure gauge on the top here that is supposed to help you judge when the gas can is getting empty, but it's not very reliable. We basically just use it till it's empty, and once it's empty, we go and get it filled. So that is the very messy section of bench with the SodaStream machine. All right, so this is the brooder that Darryl built for us. It, as I said, the chicks hatched a little bit earlier than we expected, so we were a bit limited in resources, but it works perfectly fine. We had to grab some ply. We've got this section in here is sealed back and front, so with the little heat plate in there so that it creates some warmth, and then we have an open section here so that we can see them and they can see around and things like that. We turned some of the gravy containers into waterers and feeders, so these have the lubing cups on them that self-fill, and a feeder chute on this one, and these chicks are ranging from, I want to say, 3 days to 1 day old probably at this point, because they hatched at different times. Very noisy inside and kind of smelly too. We're going to clean this out today, but even when it's clean, they're not the nicest smelling critters to have inside, but because it gets down to 5 degrees at night still at the moment, we don't have a lot of choice.